All these old influences that the people had from Egypt started manifesting as soon as they got their freedom. They were so influenced, so inundated with that culture and those ways of worshiping that first thing they did with their freedom is do just what their captors had done, worship false gods. So here God has his people that he's chosen, that he's carved out from among all the other peoples of the earth, and he's wanting to show them a new way. So what does he got to do? He's got to get them far from any of the old influences. So what does he do? He has them wander in this desert. He's going to command them to build a tabernacle because he's given Moses the pattern. But here's what I want you to think about. Sometimes when we get to those dry places in our life, sometimes when we feel like we're in the desert, sometimes when we feel like God has left us alone, maybe he has us in that experience because there's some old patterns he needs to break in our life. Sometimes he has to put us in a place where we have no other influences because he has to purge us of the old and give us a new pattern. And I believe that's what was happening with the Israelites. Now, I know some people say that the reason why they wandered for 40 years is because the men wouldn't ask anybody for directions. But, of the tabernacle, that God would provide them. And it would be a place where heaven would touch earth, a place where worship would not be designed by man, but God himself would tell them how to worship him. So let's look at this vision or plan of God. Exodus 25, verses 1 through 9. Exodus 25, verses 1 through 9. You are to receive the offering for me from each man whose heart prompts him to give. See, if God is going to change a pattern in your life, your heart has to be willing. He is not going to force you. He's not going to put you into his God mold. You have to say, I am the clay and you are the potter. There has to be a surrender. There has to be a willing submission. Changed his mind later. He said, look, take any animals you need, I don't care what you take, tarts, clothes, furnish, just get out of here. Leave Egypt. So God took their captors. The people of Egypt actually provided for the stuff, the material, to build the tabernacle. So he says, then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them. Make this tabernacle and all its furnishings exactly like the pattern I will show you. Not the way you would build it, not the pattern you want to follow, not using some of them old influences from Egypt. I will give you the pattern. Now he says that he would dwell among them. Is God contained to this house of worship? No. Was he contained to the tabernacle? No. Was he contained to Solomon's temple? No. Was he contained to the tabernacle of David? No. Not even the second temple. But what he is saying is look, I've got to purge all these old influences, so I got to get you to a place where I can work on you, and I can shape you and mold you and change the pattern of your mind and your heart and your soul. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And if you understand this pattern, it'll help you to avoid some of the spiritual struggles that you're going to face in a little mind. So he says, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make it real simple for you. You're going to live out here in your tents and stuff, and I'm going to feed you and take care of you. But I'm going to designate a special place where I will meet you. Okay? I'm all around you, but I got to make it real simple. This one particular area, if you come here, do exactly as I say, I will speak to you. And you will hear from me, and we'll get rid of that old Egyptian spirit that's within you. So the white sanctifies or sets apart, makes holy. This area has been designated. Your church, your synagogue, that area is not yours. You may have contributed to the building of it, but it is not yours. That area has been carved out, sanctified, set apart for holy purposes, and we need to be careful what we do in the house of God.
Yes.
Now, he's not like up there ready just to knock you out if you do something wrong. But, you know, we got to be careful what influences from outside the white linen fence we allow to come into the house of God, because this is his place, and he says he will dwell among them. Now, it's interesting that that word dwell, or dwelling place, is the same Hebrew word that we talk about for tabernacle. Now, think about John chapter 1. Who was it that dwelt among them? The same type of word is used in John's Gospel, the first chapter, about Jesus dwelling among them. In the beginning, God had to carve out a physical place to change that old Egyptian pattern. So you have this area that's cordoned off, and we'll look at a little bit further. What you have is a tent, and this tent has golden planks that are the walls of it. But in the front part, there are 5 golden pillars that kind of create the entrance. All right. Now, there are various coverings on this. You can read about them. We don't have time to deal with it this morning. But what I want you to realize is how big this tent was. Just imagine, it's 15 foot tall, 15 foot wide, and 45 foot long. 15 foot tall, 15 foot wide, 45 foot long. And inside this tent, it's sectioned off into 2 compartments. The first compartment is 15 by 30, and that's called the holy place. The second part is divided by another curtain with 4 golden pillars dividing it, and that room or compartment is 15 foot by 15 foot by 15 foot. So it's a 15-foot cube, and that is called the Holy of Holies. Now, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit this morning, because we're cramped for space. This portion right here, the brazen altar, it is just inside the fence or the gate. It's the first thing you see, but it's outside the tent. In between the brazen altar and the tent is the brazen laver, or where they would wash their hands, okay? Then there's a space, and then you have that big tent. And the tent has 2 compartments. Inside the holy place, you would have the table of showbread, or the table of presence. We'll discuss that a little bit more detail. And this would be up a little bit further. There would be this veil, the 15 by 15 veil, okay? This is the golden altar of incense. Then you would have the menorah, okay? It's made out of gold also. It would probably have been down this way a little bit more. It's a little bit further from the veil than this. Behind the veil would have been the Holy of Holies, but the Ark of the Covenant. And we're going to look at this more tonight, but I wanted to give you the basic outline. So let's look at some of these things.